make sure that we keep this country safe, and that and by instituting a process by which we look at these countries over a 90-day period, and the process by which people can come in and out of this country to ensure the safety of each and every one of us, I think is something that makes a heck of a lot of sense. So I understand, and I think in a lot of cases, and I say this respectfully, that I think some people have not read what exactly the order says and are reading it through misguided media reports. I mean, that's when you actually read the report and understand the nexus of it and how it's working. And again, look at how it worked. When you talk about the 325,000 people, 109 were temporarily inconvenienced for the safety of us all.
From Iran for 5 hours.
And they were processed through, Kristen. That's the process. I get the point is that you can go through and nitpick and say, okay, well, this individual is, but that's why we slow it down a little, and to make sure that if they are a 5-year-old, that maybe they're with their parents and they don't pose a threat. But to assume that just because of someone's age or gender or whatever, that they don't pose a threat would be misguided and wrong.
Let me just ask you about the rollout as well. Did Secretary Kelly find out about the executive order as it was being signed, and did Secretary Mattis find out only hours earlier?
Look, what I'm going to tell you is what has been briefed out previously, which is that all appropriate agencies and individuals that were needed to be part of the process were. Everybody was kept in the loop at the level necessary to make sure that we rolled it out properly. Vivian.
You want to respond to the former president?
On that note, and how well were those departments briefed? I mean, you just said yourself that the president is willing to act very quickly when he has to keep the country safe. And so, is there a lesson to be learned from what happened last week in terms of maybe better preparing the departments that are relevant?
Well, again, right. I understand the question that you're asking, but there's two things that have to get cleared up. One is if we announced this a lot earlier, it would have given people plenty of time to flood into the country who could have done us harm. That's not exactly a sound strategy, right? So the people that needed to be kept in the loop were kept in the loop. The people that needed to be briefed were. And if you, again, I think that this is largely overblown. When you look at the context of how big this was and the number of people that got caught up, it's relatively minor as a percentage of the overall total. So when you look at how this worked on a Saturday, 109 people out of 325,000 were slowed down going in. I truly believe that it is being blown out of proportion, the extent to which this actually was, and for what it did. And I think, frankly, government functioned very well. We made sure that the people coming in weren't coming in to do us harm. We made sure that the people who said that they went back to a country that was one of those 7 did so without any intent to do this country or our people harm, and they all got in after the screening. The system actually worked really well. I mean, that's the takeaway from this, that the system worked well, the country is safer for it.
Sean, do you want to respond to the former president?
Can you answer how many, I know you said 109 over the last 24 hours, since the executive order. How many went through since that 24 hours, have been detained for a number of hours?
Yeah, to my knowledge, I can try to get you that number. I don't believe it's many. The idea was those were the folks that were basically caught in transit when the executive order was issued. Then it becomes a prospective thing that they're applying through their country. So, again, it almost should be a minimal amount, if any, because that primary initial wave were the people that were in transit when the executive order was executed. The rest of them weren't allowed to actually enter back and are going through the process through the consulate and regular system. So it is actually a pretty easy way of ensuring that the system worked well. Yeah.
Just to clean up something you said earlier in the briefing, you said with respect to the career diplomats at the State Department who disagreed or signing this case.